Hello, Elian. How are you on such a cool morning?
Hi Aleja. Ugh, I'm very well, but I also feel terribly cold. And how about you?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm frozen from the cold, but not away is bad situation. I'm fierce. Elian changed the topic. I wanted to thank you for accepting my invitation, and we were able to create this podcast with a topic that is really important for all the educational context, such as a design syllabus of potentialities and limitation.
Hmm. You start off as if it is actually very important. But first, let us contextualize a little bit what it is a curricular design with potentialities and limitation. From this technical approach, the curriculum is product oriented under pre-established requirements that are evidenced in education through the learning outcomes, which becomes the goals of the process. Its objective is the control of the educational process and of all those who are involved in it, so teachers and students. It is also characterized because its purpose are to instruct, train, transmit, inform, or control. It also uses inductive and deductive methods. The teacher assumes a mechanistic, transmissionist, authoritarian, and uncritical role, while the student must assume a passive, dependent attitude, are uncritical, and limit themselves to memorizing.
You are absolutely right because it is evident all the time in educational institutions influenced by this paradigm assisted technical, and it is a syllabus designed from what you tell me, and they focus on the identification of goals and objectives that is must be achieved under precise instructions exactly, and it's clear from all the schools and also respond to the expect results in the process because, well, I don't know what you think, Ellie, but there are many positive and negative things that are implicit in this process and educational.
All right, but let me tell you, Aleja, it is important to highlight and analyze the history of education in Colombia, for example. Recognizing the influence of different international authors, such as pedagogues, psychologists, and philosophers, who, through their postulates, mark the different paradigms and curricular approaches, certify that and in turn they determine the approach to the curriculum and its integration into the educational field of the country.
And to mention that early is really important, and that is at the beginning of the 20th century in Colombia, a methodology called traditional school is followed, which is influenced by these international trends and paradigms that are trying to couple with a centralized schools and dynamics by the state unified all the designs curriculums in educational institutions, obviously in Colombia, and who also had to compulsory comply with that curriculum. Important this information.
Yeah, it is really important actually, Aleja. For example, we are going to talk about the limitations about this, syllabus. First of all, yeah, in spite of its reportedly wide merits, a procedurally mapped syllabus doesn't seem prone to suffer at least two disadvantages. Insofar as its conceptual task is concerned, the foundational definition proposed by Prabhu in 1987, whereby an activity which required learners to arrive at an outcome from given information through some process of thought, and which allowed the teachers to control and regulate that process, was regarded as task, tends to provide a task-based designer with little or no help when selecting grading and sequencing. Tasks are at issue. Also, another disadvantage is that not all the curriculums are feasible for all the students. For example, some students like to analyze everything and they like to learn like that. However, there are some students that likes to memorize and they like to do that in order for them to remember like the concept, and in that way they can get into the conclusion that the concept is related with a theme or topic that they like seen the last class or maybe years ago. But yeah, that is like some limitations, not feasible, and it's always attached to the task.
Oh my goodness, Ellie, I didn't know anything about the limitations. And now that I'm listening to you, there are very important aspects about the limitation, and it's really important of the role of the academic context. Oh my goodness. It's important. Okay, so in this part, I'm going to tell you about the potentialities. It's very important the role of the teachers and the students, because the potentialities of the teachers are those that impart a clear instruction that educates, form, and complements each academic process and collaborate with the students in mutual development and is a better of the society, obviously. And the teacher with a potentiality is an attitude of permanent openness, of revision and reflection. It encourages to transfer the permanent change information of the students and into their teacher. Is enriched in the relationship with the student. The idea is feel comfortable with communication with different aspects about the topic of any topic, obviously, of the teacher and the students. Oh my goodness, I really, really, really impact all of the information.
Yeah, actually, it's very interesting when you learn about those things. Because when you research and you have like a better idea and you look for examples, you have like a great representation about like the importance of designing a syllabus. And what you mentioned also seems very important to me because from my experience I have lived it in practice. When I see that there are potentialities that stand out in the academic life of the students with whom I have interacted, and he evidenced that the teaching role must be fair and formative, seeking a balance in learning so that all students can learn in the same way as others. I feel that as a teacher, I must be reflective and propose to have different learning strategies. As I told you before, in the limitations, the students are not suitable in all the curriculum.
Ellie, I love your experience because I have had similar experience with my practicums, and how very nice it is the common and point of view. Thank you, Elise. I really appreciate. Oh my goodness, I really identify with you. On the other hand, the potentialities of the students are fundamental since they have characteristics such as, for example, scientific spirit, technological spirit, disciplinary competence and skills, and continuous learning, agility of and creative, ease and influential communication, conviction of commitment to healthy development, society, family, and academically. And yes, it's the capacity of the peaceful coexistence and respect for all the points of view and opinions regarding the specific topics proposed by the curriculums.
That is true, Ali. And to end this very useful talk, when education does not address the totality of being, it partializes the formation process, and therefore is necessary to create a syllabus design. Learning reduced to the acquisition of data cancels knowledge, and it is necessary to seek the well-being of students potentialities, and limitations.
I really like your reflection and in fact if any of them have advantage and disadvantages, the curriculum is adaptable to any potential and limitation that students have allows much adaptation to the curriculums that the teachers not use. And it is very value and important point of view where we learn not judge the academic process of the students because those the potentialities become the strength in the aspects that make up of the human being. And well, Ellie, it seems very sad to me that for a while we have to live until here, but I am sure that it learning many important elements for this conversation, and I learned a lot of facts important of all the potentiality limitation about the syllabus design and the curriculums is really important for me. And thank you very much for the space, and I learned a lot of Ellen. And how do you see your very soon to tell you about another topic of interesting about the topics academic relations. And take care of yourselves. Bye, my dear Ellie.
It was very nice to share all this knowledge with you, Aleja. Thank you very much for all those learnings, and I also hope to return to talk about topic as important as a syllabus design. Take care of yourself too. Goodbye, Aleja.